record. There she is. Excellent. This morning we are joined very kindly by Kate from Paul J. King and Karen from AG Down. And this morning we are going to be talking about how to encourage more take-up through tribute pages. But before we get into that, and that's going to be very much a sort of nice kind of discussion session with the option for the audience to pop in questions specifically to our panelists through the chat box. So before I get into that, just for the benefit of the audience, because there's a bit of a mixture of some people that have used the service a lot and some people who are fairly new to us. So I thought it might be useful just to have a little bit of background about and history about Much Loved. So Much Loved launched in 2006 after several years of development as a result of a personal bereavement by our founder and trustee, Jonathan Davies. We became a registered charity in 2007, and to start with, it was purely an online memorial service, and the donation processing facility came a bit later as a request of our users asking for it. Now, we've got over 7,000 charities listed on the service, and anyone setting up a tribute page, yourselves setting up tribute pages on behalf of families, can choose any of those charities. If something's not listed on our service, then you have the option to add it. And as well as UK registered charities, we also collect donations for any charitable cause. So that might be a church or a scout group or even a care home. So someone that's not an organisation that's not a registered charity, but is a charitable organisation. To date, we've collected over £90 million through the platform, which is pretty fantastic. And we've got nearly 225,000 tributes that have been created through the service. And the pages are used in a variety of ways. So as funeral notices, so family and friends can come to the funeral director's website to see a bit more information about where the funeral is taking place and any sort of special instructions about that. Also, it provides a way to collect donations in lieu of flowers. And also, finally, they can be very much used as a lasting bereavement tool. So I'm going to hand you over, I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to hand you over to my colleague Jason, who's going to kind of host our panelist session this morning with Karen and Kate, asking them a few questions. And like I said, if you've got any questions that you'd like to answer or anything kind of pops to mind during the session, then please do pop your comments in the chat box.
Thank you. Thanks, Sally. It feels like I need a musical interlude for an introduction to our panelists. As Sally said, we're very, very grateful to Kate and Karen for offering their time and their experience to talk to us and everyone here this morning. So just a few questions. So my first question is to Kate, and then I'll ask Karen. So Kate, why do you offer funeral notices?
Firstly, it brings people to our website to begin with, and it's used as an obituary notice, as well as, you know, if people want to put things in the paper, that's fine. But an obituary notice, people can choose who they send it to. It gives people notice of details of the service, where the service is, what time it is, the map as well. Also, you can put special requests on there, like family flowers only, wear bright colours. You can put details of the webcast on there for families who are wanting to watch a webcast, and of course the charity as well, which is gift aided.
Thank you. There's lots there. And Karen, perhaps from a business perspective, why do you offer?
Yes, one of the things that we like about Much Loved is that it does direct the traffic directly to our website. It doesn't put it onto another organisation's website, and hopefully people will pick up information from us We like the flexibility of it, because from a business point of view, you can offer a full range of a QR code, you can text it, you can Facebook it, and you can put your details, and as Kate said, the family details, funeral and everything online.
Thank you. It's almost like we paid you to say all of that. Thank you
No,
very
not
much.
at all. It's also somewhere where people can go in the middle of the night and look at a tribute at any time. And I think that's really purposeful, especially for people when they're on their own.
Yeah, I think we sometimes forget that, don't we, really? Something that we create in the process of arranging a funeral is actually something that someone might keep going back to long after the funeral. And I think we might perhaps take for granted the value of that as a bereavement tool. But I suppose that's very much what Much Loved is about. So the next question is to Kate. So Kate, when during the arrangement do you mention creating a tribute page?
So we would have had a nice conversation with the family, finding out a bit about them. So we tend to bring it in when we're discussing things like family flowers, service sheets, obituaries. So it kind of ties in with all of those. So if they want to collect at the service, you can have a box at the service and you can collect online. We explain all the advantages of this. So they can have details of the much loved on the service sheets at the back. And they can personalise it. We can personalise a tribute page for them with their own photographs. And you can add a theme to it as well. So hopefully by this time we might have found out a little bit about the deceased likes or hobbies. So we can personalise the page that way for them. And it just ties in nicely at this particular point with the flowers and the service sheets and the obituaries. So it's normally kind of the middle to the end of the arranging that we tend to bring this in.
And Karen, is there a key point that you mention tribute pages?
Similarly to Kate, we were doing, but we're finding now that when people are ringing to make an arrangement, we're now emailing out details to them prior to seeing them. And part of that bereavement booklet or guide includes our details of the tributes and what they include. Because what we're trying to avoid is the nephew or the helpful granddaughter who says, by the time you get to the arrangement, oh, by the way, they've set up a Just Giving page. And it doesn't have all the attributes that we want to be able to use, and we're not in control of it. So we are finding we're mentioning it more and more on a first call, and sending it out.
So people are coming to the arrangement really informed about everything.
There's quite often a photograph or something, you know, that they've got ready for it when they're coming to us, which is really great.
Yeah, thank you. What happens when a family would like more than one charity or good cause? So can I aim that at you, Karen?
Much Loved isn't a barrier to that. It's the same as we would say to somebody ordinarily. Yes, you can have as many charities as you like, but there is a dilution. The more you have, the less each charity may get. And we also give the advice that if you're having a local charity and several nationals, the amount's usually reduced to the nationals. But there is really no limit on Much Loved. But as I say, we're trying to make them be sensible. Probably say 3 is tops, but it is their personal choice at the end of the day.
And
sorry, I was going to ask, do many, just as a kind of aside, do many people need any guidance on which charities they want to support?
I find that it's something that's happened. We get sent a lot of literature from charities, and I'm sure Kate does and all the other funeral directors.
Yeah, we do.
99 times out of 100, people know the charity that they want. They might not know the exact branch of Alzheimer's, whether it's research or what part of the Alzheimer's group they might want, but primarily they know the charity. They're not looking for a suggestion.
Right.
Yeah, we find that as well.
From a contributor's point of view, so from a donor's point of view, when that person visits the tribute page, it's up to them which charity they donate to. So the money isn't split. They can choose which charity. So the ownership of that decision lies with them rather than the family or you having to divide it. So that's worth remembering as well to those watching. So the next question, are there any special touches that you make, Kate?
Yeah, there's lots of special touches you can make. As we said before, with the themes, and there's loads to choose from. And you ask the family about the deceased's hobbies or interest. It may be flowers, it may be sport, and there's so many themes you can choose. And it does look nice rather than just a standard flower which you may have, you know, as your company. And we recently had one. The family particularly wanted a pool table as opposed to a snooker table. So much I very kindly had that one sorted for us. And that was really good with the family, very well appreciated. And yes, we can have photos, and the family can add the photos as well. They can make a gallery of photos. And you can use the family's known name. You haven't got to stick to a Richard. You can have it as Rich, which is quite nice that people like to have their own name on there. And yeah, just letting the family know that they can add things to it themselves, which I think is quite nice. And they can put their, you know, light a candle to it. They can change the colours of the candle. There's loads of different things they can do once they take ownership of it as well.
And Karen, is there anything routinely you do when you're creating tribute pages with regards to adding special touches?
We always light a candle from ourselves when we set up a tribute, and we're trying to set them up as quickly as possible and hand them over to the family to capture that really sensitive time at the beginning when they're all coming together and sharing things. So yeah, and we will add a photo obviously if we've got one too.
And Kate, you mentioned about giving the family ownership of the tribute page at the beginning as well, so that they can contribute also. Thank you. So the next question, do your officiants add their tribute, their eulogy to your funeral notices? And Kate, I was going to ask you first.
Yeah, no, we haven't had any eulogies or contributions from celebrants so far, but actually do think it's quite a nice idea. So it may be something that to look forward to in the future, perhaps. Yeah, no, we haven't had it so far, but
yeah,
it'd be nice to do, I think.
And
the charities often light a candle.
Yeah.
As we do as well.
Okay. And Karen, I think I've actually seen one of your tribute pages and someone has added the eulogy. I'm not quite sure if that
yes, I think there are a couple actually, but it is something we need to facilitate more. I think it's really has a value to it. And we're going to work towards actually giving our celebrants a nudge to do that.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to my granddad's funeral, and I think he was a retired minister who took the service, and actually there are a lot of things that I don't remember about my granddad's life, but were listed in that tribute, and that tribute's kind of gone forever, and I wish I had a space where that could be kept. So, yeah.
Or even, I guess, even if you've got a family or a friend who's done a sort of talk, it's actually a really nice way to record what was said, isn't it, on a tribute page. I just wanted to ask, so when you set up a tribute and then hand that tribute page over to the family get an automatic message via much loved with a link to their tribute, but do you distribute the tribute in any other ways? Do you use the QR code facility, or there's also an SMS text so that you can text out a link to the family? Do either of you use that facility?
No, we haven't so far. We just add their email address and they get the automated message their end.
I have used the Facebook link a few times, and I did look back, I have used the SMS only a couple of times. It depends on the age of the person that we're dealing with and whether it's appropriate at that time. I was a bit worried about where they might be when it pings into their text. But we do send out literature with all of our estimates as well after we've created it, which includes details of, it's actually the much loved booklet that we send them, so it gives them an idea of what they can do.
Okay, And then on the order of service, do you include anything about the tribute page on that?
Yes, we ask, it does direct traffic to our website, and we do ask them to go through the link. We have a donate now and a tribute link on our website, so it asks them to visit that to make a donation.
Yeah, same here, it goes on the back of our service sheets as well.
I think it's really interesting that you're mentioning tribute pages after the funeral as well. So actually, it's a really nice touch point for you from a business point of view, that you're able to signpost people back to something that you've created for them for free. I quite like that.
Yes, we send it out with the estimate, and then we send a reminder when we send the account. We have a little reminder that says that the tribute's there and it's there for perpetuity, and if they want to transfer the ownership, they can contact us. There's a little tear-off slip, and it just reminds them that it hasn't ended just because the funeral's over.
Yeah. And the next question, I know that we've got quite a few questions come in on the chat, which is really nice to see, but the last of my questions is, Kate, would you post about funeral notices on social media?
No, we haven't done so far. We leave that for the family to do. We think it's up to the family to do that side of things. So no, we haven't done that so far. I do think it's a good way for the family to let friends and family know, because a lot of their families are on Facebook. So I think it's nice for the families to do that.
And Karen, do you use do you post about tribute pages on your social media?
We're just about to. We changed our terms and conditions and our authority form that we get signed when we arrange a funeral to allow sharing on social media. And we've had a piece put in our terms and conditions to cover that. And I think if somebody signs up to a Facebook page for a funeral director, they are expecting funeral related information. So I don't have any issue with doing that, and I'm keen to get going with it.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Sally, have you been nosy at the questions?
Yeah, so there's a couple of questions, a little reminder from Rich about the QR code. So we've had there is the option through your partner area to download a QR code and pop that on an order of service. And actually for depending on how it's set up in the background, but it should just take a direct link to the tribute information on your website, or if it's not set up like that, we'll just do a direct link to the underlying tribute page. But that's another way of kind of just making it easy for people to be able to access the page directly from an order of service if you wanted to. Julian Tucker's asked, what's the take up of online tributes from your clients?
I did a little recce recently, so I've done it just for a certain period. So we had 79 funerals in this period. 61 of those were took up donations, and out of that 61, we had 48 of those took up much loved, and out of that 48, we had 42 tributors actually pay money into much loved, use it as a charity as well. So it's quite high figures, I think, really. Yeah,
that's really good. Steve Rowland's put that they make the tribute an opt-out item rather than an opt-in, and their uptake has increased dramatically. Karen, how do you do it?
Very similar. I mean, I would have said probably over 90% of our funerals have taken up the online tribute and donations. We also offer them as an option for a direct cremation. We include an online tribute and donation for those people too. So it's been really high. And like Steve says, you know, if you make it, we don't specifically make it opt-in, but it's the way in which you word it that we do create this for you, and all the sort of possibilities that it can have. So it's very rarely that people say no, they don't want it.
And another good question from Steve: when is the best time to send an invite to review your services? And I'm thinking back to when I was funeraling, and we used to do 2 weeks from the date of the funeral. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Do you mean a feedback on
Yeah, so
services? Yeah, we send a feedback form out with our accounts.
We did the same.
So,
another question from Julian, do you always find a younger client base that takes up the tributes?
Probably more so, but I think even elderly families have got lots of younger members of the family as well. So I think it does tend to be the younger side, but I think it's a pretty good mix, to be fair.
we changed slightly the way that we were doing it when we were first promoting it as this is what we do to collect, you know, you can collect donations. That older people were perhaps a little bit not put off, but they didn't feel it was so necessary. Whereas now we're leading with the fact of putting the details of the funeral online so that people can find the map and the time and that information, and it just leads into them being happy to have everything online.
Yeah, the map's really useful. I've heard lots of people that, you know, do actually then use that to get the directions to the funeral location as well. I think that can be a really useful tool.
I still remember the postcodes for our local crematoria, because that was one of the most common calls we get is, what's the postcode for the crematorium? So it's nice to be able to signpost people to your website to them, for them to then pick up on the map from the tribute page.
And I have to say we've had a lot less calls for people who want to pay by credit card, and people who are calling from abroad. Now they're able to go onto the site and do that, so it makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's much easier for them to do it that way as well.
Yeah, plus obviously they get the gift aid if it's being collected through our system, which is a great benefit to the charities as well. Excellent. So, well, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I think that we have covered all of the questions. Just to sort of reiterate, this session is recorded, so I'll make sure that everyone's got a copy of it before the end of the week. It'll probably be before then, so it can be distributed to colleagues. And if anyone does have anything actually in particular that they'd like to cover in sort of future sessions, then please do email us or pop it in the chat box, and we will have a look at covering those topics for you. So thank you very much to Karen and Kate for joining us this morning, and we'll let you get back to your day jobs.
Yeah, I think we fibbed about the number of people who are attending, but we've had quite a few people attend, which is really nice. So yeah, thank you both.
Excellent, great. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Sally.
Bye, Karen.